Even if it's not your struggle, once we realize that someone's fight is your fight too, things happen and things change. And this was said to me by Dr. Ronnie Dean Burton last year. In realizing that my fight was not one to be fought alone. And my colleagues' fights, my students' fights, are not ones to be fought alone either. And I stand here because of her. I serve for TCTELA because of her. And she took a chance on someone who hadn't been a teacher for too long, and I'm here right now today. It is my distinct honor to stand before you today to introduce a remarkable high school student who exemplifies the very essence of academic excellence and passion for education. As we gather here at the end of this amazing conference, it is only fitting that we welcome a young speaker whose words not only reflect the vibrancy of our field, but also embodies the future of literature and advocacy and education. This student, still in high school, has done so much for others and has impacted so many, including myself. I've had the honor to be his English teacher. Our speaker today is a shining example of the potential that lies within our classrooms. This exceptional student has not only demonstrated a grasp of language, but has also harnessed the power of words to inspire, challenge, and provoke thought. His journey through high school has been marked by a commitment to learning, a dedication to creativity, and a deep appreciation for the written and spoken word. Kameron Keller is a dynamic and motivated high school student with a passion for education. He has demonstrated exceptional leadership and has made a commitment to making a positive impact in his community. Serving as the current Taffy State and Area 4 president, Kameron has consistently shown dedication and enthusiasm in both academic and extracurricular pursuits. While still in his junior year of high school, he has maintained a consistent A honor roll, a 2-year streak for UIL Theater All-Star Cast, and a reputable school board recognition status, showcasing his undeniable commitment for this field, in and outside of the classroom. Known for his exceptional communication skills, Kameron has not only succeeded academically, but he also has actively participated in the International Thespian Festival, the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards, and at the Taffy regional and national levels. He has been recognized for his timely and critical writing regarding varying social justice issues and educational matters, including his critical essay on teaching African Americans histories in schools, recognized at the Harris County regional level and at the national level for Scholastic. In addition, Kameron is deeply involved in serving his community. He believes in the power of giving back and has contributed to create positive change within his ALEAF community. With a keen interest in becoming a humanities teacher, Kameron is poised to make a significant mark on urban education and inspire the next generation of African American educators. As we listen to the words of our high school speaker today, let us not only appreciate their individual achievements, but also reflect on the collective responsibility we as educators bear to nurture and guide the next generation of teachers and the students we serve today in our classrooms. Without further ado, it is a great pleasure that I welcome Kameron Keller to the TCTELA 2024 stage.
Started to get a little teary there, huh? Ooh. I'd hit a few onions or so. How y'all feel this morning? How y'all feeling?
Woo!
Feeling good? You know, it's truly an honor to stand here before you all today. Before I begin, I just want to take a minute to just appreciate, what you guys are doing here. This is my first time attending a TCTELA conference, and man, I've I've learned so much, from poetry night last night was a wonderful time to just the breakout sessions and all of the booths that I attended. And just, making memories, spending time with, people who have a true passion for education. So for those of y'all that don't know me, excuse me. I am Kameron Keller, and I'm a Alief Taylor High School junior and the current Texas Association of Future Educators Taffy State President. So Taffy is an organization that is designed to introduce students to the field of education, but it has really helped me develop transferable skills such as public speaking, communication skills, self-confidence skills, relationship building skills, and many more skills used in other fields. It's truly an honor to stand here before you all today. Before I begin, I just want to give a thank you to my teacher, Ms. Zainab Jabak. I truly appreciate the support that you've given me in preparing me for this conference. I would also like to thank Taffy for giving me the opportunity to advocate for the future of education. Also, I want to give thanks to TCTELA for giving me the space to speak to you all today. And somebody tells me that you guys haven't had a student speaker in a while, so I'm definitely honored. Currently, I'm in the education and training pathway while I intern at Hayes Elementary. Most times I do small group, and honestly, every time I step foot in that classroom, I get a rush. That rush is a constant reminder that I need to teach, and one day I will have a classroom of my own. As a future educator, I aim to forge the future of African American teachers, content taught in school, and influence the kids that look like me to become future educators. First, I want to start with my personal experience in the educational world. It's been such a bizarre feeling being a student in the classroom every day and a blooming teacher. But throughout my early days, I felt there was no support. No support pushed me towards something different than sports. When asked what I wanted to do with my future, teacher said, "You're a pretty big kid, so play football." There weren't any conversations pushing me towards another career path. I was never told, "You have a strong voice, try public speaking." As a future educator, my goal is to help influence Black kids to become teachers. My aspirations to teach were always in the back of my mind, but it didn't surface until I began to see the power of education. What I'm doing today is a huge accomplishment, not only for myself, but also for the generations behind me, because I'm sending a message to all the kids who look like me and letting them know that pursuing a job in education is much more powerful than you think. Although I say this, what does the future of education look like? Now, I know you all came here to listen to me tell you what it looks like, but in all honesty, I don't know. But I do have hope for what it can be. As we gather here today, we know the teacher shortage is real. Many teachers are either retiring or just flat out quitting. But the biggest shortage has been the number of African American educators. More specifically, the number of African American male teachers. Living in Houston and as an aliefisd student, I've been surrounded by a very diverse student body. But the majority of my teachers have been white women. Now, not to say I haven't had great teachers, but my first male Black teacher was one to remember. He was my 4th grade teacher, and his name was Mr. Vernon Tubbs. Mr. Tubbs was my history teacher, but as the year progressed, he became my mentor. I looked up to him. When he talked, I listened, and when he gave advice, I took it. Talking to him made me feel like I was talking to myself in the future. I saw what he had become, and I knew that's what I wanted to be. Now, some might say, why can't any teacher have the same impact as a Black teacher on a Black student? The answer is that not everyone can relate to our experiences. No matter your role in society, the representation of Black people is very low. Meaning, there aren't many Black people doing things that kids can look to besides sports and those who are in the music industry. Black teachers need to teach these Black students because we as Black students feel that they relate to us. After all, they look like us. Even though it's important Black teachers teach Black kids, it's also important for the other kids in the classroom. Having that exposure early helps get rid of any unconscious bias a student may have. Now, as we all know, the teaching field is filled with predominantly white women. So how can you support a student that does not look like you, nor whose experience do not resemble yours? It starts with listening. and actually showing the students you care about them as a person, and not just as a student sitting in your classroom. To expand on my point, kids who are underrepresented most times lack support in lots of different areas. So as teachers, you have to be the difference for those kids. You have to ensure all of your kids are being seen and heard as a person. Once you do this, kids will begin to feel your support, eventually creating a stronger teacher-student relationship, even if you don't share those similar experiences. The time you take to learn your student benefits them in the long run because they now understand that just because somebody doesn't look like you nor share your experiences, they can still support you. The same way TCTELA is trying to help forge the future of literacy, we have to help forge the future of African American teachers. And it starts with support and representation. As a result, this cycle leads to an influence on the Black kids being taught by these Black teachers, showing them that they can become future educators. Furthermore, to help forge the future of literacy, we must first forge the future of content that's taught in school. As a student, I'm constantly reading new material, and some books just don't pique my interest. I enjoy reading books that are relatable to me, or books which I can put myself in the character's shoes. To explain, some of my favorite books are The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, When You Look Like Us by Camilla Harris, The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo, Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, and Tupac's The Rose That Grew from Concrete. Now, these books are complete opposites of one another because no one book relates to everyone in their stories. For instance, in Tupac's The Rose That Grew from Concrete, he has a poem called If I Fail. And I want to take a minute to read it to you all. As I read it, I want you all to close your eyes and just envision and visualize what you hear as best as possible. If I fail, if in my quest to achieve my goals, I stumble or crumble and lose my soul, those that knew me would easily co-sign. There was never a life as hard as mine. No father, no money, no chance and no God. I only follow my voice inside. If it guides me wrong and I do not win, I'll learn from my mistakes and try to achieve again. Now, I want you to open your eyes and just take a minute to think about what you envision while hearing If I Fail. Now, what you pictured is most likely different from everyone else, but to me, this poem holds weight. I can relate to Tupac's words. He went through a struggle, but no matter his circumstance, he continued to try again. To me, this book and the others I listed are relatable, but to you all, they may not be. And that's the same case with your students. As teachers, you need to think about how to help change the content options. For many students, it's difficult to comprehend books that they don't enjoy because it feels more like a chore rather than a hobby. When a book piques your interest, you find yourself reading it all the time, digging deeper and deeper into the plot. This makes you feel like you're living the life of the character, meaning you begin to think like them when you read the book, so it's easier to comprehend. As a teacher, if you want to help change the content options so they can be enjoyable for all your kids, you have to allow these options. This can be difficult because some books are a part of what you have to teach, but when it can be optional, give kids that choice. We can't advance literacy until we change the content that's to be enjoyable for everyone. My generation always asks us why. Why? So if you can't give them a reason why, students feel to attend is pointless. On the other hand, if you can give a kid a reason why, they're more likely to do it. And it starts with the content that's taught. Content also relates to stuff that's being seen in schools, censored in schools. Hence, book banning. Many books are being banned because of the content, but why are we banning books if it's the reality that we live in? For example, books that talk about racism, the LGBTQ plus community, mental health, and abuse have been the mass majority of these bans. Now, imagine you're a student sitting in these classrooms dealing with some of these things. You feel like you aren't accepted. If a student can't read something that they relate to in some shape, form, or fashion, then the drive to read disappears. That's why it's so important to give kids that choice. Not only do they feel heard, but by giving kids the freedom to read what they like, they feel represented. All in all, if we change the content and allow more versatile content to be used, then we can forge the future of literacy, encouraging all kids to pick up a book. The majority of the time, the kids you see who are committed to these dreams and goals have a story and a reason why. Stories are often filled with trauma, failure, disappointment, and most importantly, self-doubt. All of these come together to help this kid find a reason why. But it's also important to read these stories of joy. We all deal with trauma, so the books we read should be an escape from the reality that we live in. I've been through things that molded me into the Kameron Keller that's standing before you all today. It took one teacher, one person who cared besides a family member, and one man to give me a different outlook on what I could be. That one person impacted my life for the greater good. Empathy. At the root of it all, it's empathy. That's what the future of education needs. As a teacher, it starts with self-reflecting and confronting your own biases. Although it will be difficult to do so, it's work that has to be done if we truly want to ensure that all these kids if you want to empathize with all these kids on the individual level. Empathy is important because the majority of the time, you will not look like the students that you teach, nor share their same stories, but you can empathize with them. Even for the students that you do look like, it's important to take time to learn all of your kids individually because each student is different and they all require different techniques. By doing this, you not only become a better teacher, but you can also work towards learning your students. To conclude, I want to say I'm proud of you all. The work that you've done here may not have been easy, but the students need you. I need you. And the future generation of students needs your influence. They need you to believe in them. They need you to be the backbone. They need you to fill the gaps that they may have. And most importantly, they need your words of encouragement. Your kids need you in the fight for content, representation, and most importantly, empathy. If you don't take anything else from this, please remember this. There are so many kids that look like me. And as people say, it takes a village to raise a kid, but it takes one person to convince them to stay in that village. You all should push to be that one person for somebody. And together, we can help forge the future of literacy and education for generations to come. Thank you. Ooh, that was nice. That was so nice.